The war that the United States of America and Iran and Israel are waging on occupied Iran has today entered its 30th day. The coalition between these two superpowers succeeded in eliminating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and 39 other senior officials of the Iranian regime in the first hour of the war. There has been non-stop rain of bombs on Tehran and other key cities in the country, taking out the country's air defense systems, missile launching capabilities, which has reduced Iran's ability to launch missiles from about 450 missiles that was launched on the first day of the war to 7 missiles that was launched 2 days ago. Note, however, that Israel has successfully intercepted most of these missiles that has been launched. Most of the military installations that have been destroyed in Iran, missile manufacturing companies have been reduced, have been decimated. 92% of the country's naval capacity have been destroyed. Iran's nuclear sites have been decimated, and President Trump has informed the Iranian Islamic regime that if they do not come to the table and agree to his terms, he will be destroying their power supply installations, which will plunge the whole country into utter darkness. Each day of this war has also seen the elimination of key leaders in the Iranian regime, so that there are practically no one left in the administration to negotiate with. The greatest win in this military campaign has not actually been the destruction of the Iranian regime's military capabilities or the elimination of their leaders. The greatest win in this military campaign has not actually been the destruction of the Iranian regime's military capabilities or the elimination of their leaders. The greatest win in this is the fact that most Iranians, both within the country and in the diaspora, are rejoicing at the possibility of a regime change coming to Iran. What many people do not realize is that Iran, which the regime renamed the Islamic Republic of Iran, had not always been an Islamic-dominated nation. Iran, before 1979, was a secular state. But with the coming of the Shiite government of Ayatollah Khamenei, that's the very first Ayatollah, overall Ayatollah, Iran was captured by radical Islamic elements, and this is why the best way to describe Iran today is an occupied state. The country has been occupied by terrorists. It is like having Nigeria ruled by Boko Haram. It is the same thing that has also happened to Afghanistan, and it is the same thing that is happening in Syria and a few other countries in the Middle East today. Many hitherto Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE countries, and Egypt have embraced modern governmental ethos that allow for free market and capitalism. They have also, interestingly, expelled groups like the Muslim Brotherhood from their countries, denying radical Islamic groups the opportunity to influence their government. Iran, on the other hand, because of its commitment to Shia Islam and its diametrical theological difference with other countries in the Middle East, has refused to reform its culture along Western ideals and has remained committed to a draconian Islamic kind of government that deny the people of Iran freedom. It is these people that rose up against the Iranian regime and protested weeks unended until those protests were forcibly put down when the regime murdered no less than 40,000 people, most of them youths, in January. The world watched as poetic justice played out with the murderers of these people eliminated in the very first hour of this war. One point we must keep in mind as we discuss the war on the Iranian regime is this. This war is not a war between Christians and Muslims. Unfortunately, this is the way many Muslims in Nigeria have interpreted the crisis. For instance, Israel is not a Christian nation, and Israel is the number one instigator of this war. The second point is that many nations that have suffered the brunt of Iranian missile aggression are themselves Muslim countries. Countries like Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Jordan, and the UAE. It is true that Iran was shooting at America's military bases in those countries. Yet, they have also targeted non-military sites and have killed innocent citizens of these countries. The people that were killed in those countries were Muslim. Therefore, this war is actually between modern civilization and an ancient civilization steeped in radical Islamic teachings. On one side are people who believe that human beings can live in freedom, operate free market systems, and prosper as people from different countries relate to each other. On the other hand, are radical Islamic individuals who hold to extreme teachings in the Quran. Surah 929 of the Quran is the fundamental basis for their religion. And that scripture reads, as I quote, "Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, or who do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messenger has made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth from those who were given the scriptures. Fight until they give the jizya willingly, while they feel themselves humbled." When educated and civilized Muslims read that scriptures, they interpret it as a verse that is historical and was applicable to the times of Prophet Muhammad. When radical Muslim groups read that scripture, they see it as something that must be done today. It is what has led to the thriving of extreme Muslim groups like Boko Haram, ISWAP, ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, and even the Muslim Brotherhood. Incidentally, it is this scripture that the regime in Iran believes in when they declare that Israel is the little Satan and America is the big Satan, and that Israel and America must be destroyed. The war on occupied Iran is a war that civilized nations must wage on a country that is the highest sponsor of radical Islamic ideologies around the world. If no one else is concerned about what radical Muslims can do, those of us who live the war on occupied Iran is the war that civilized nations must wage on a country that is the highest sponsor of radical Islamic ideologies around the world. If no one else is concerned about what radical Muslims can do, those of us who live in Nigeria are concerned, especially having borne the brunt of their activities in this country since 2009, courtesy of Boko Haram. It is sad that many Muslims in this country choose to interpret the war on Iran as a war that Israel and America are waging to destroy an independent sovereign country. They intentionally overlook the fact that radical Islam is breathing down on all of our necks. They forget the fact that the civilization we all enjoy today, the cars we drive, the phones we use, the internet we're now using, were not gotten through radical Muslim elements, but from Western civilization as we find it in America, Europe, and Israel. They intentionally overlook the fact that the prosperity of our world today is gotten from Christians and Western nations. And the fact that given the opportunity to live and work, many of these Muslims will choose to live in America or Britain rather than in Iran or Afghanistan. It is this bold faced hypocrisy that I am forced to point out in this broadcast today. In future broadcasts, I will turn my criticism against leftist elements in the Western world and atheistic and agnostic commentators all around social media who are criticizing Donald Trump for this war. For now, everyone must understand that the war on the Islamic terrorists in occupied Iran is a just war, and the people of that country are rejoicing that Israel and America have come to liberate them from a 47-year-old bondage. All right. I want to thank you very much for joining our broadcast today. My name is Deji Yesufu, and I just read something out to our viewers there about the situation with the war on Iran. Some of the things that we'll probably have to appreciate is the fact that, a few facts. A lot of the people in Iran today are rejoicing over this war. In fact, they called the US and the Israelis to liberate them from the situation they find themselves. There are some commentators in Iran and outside Iran that regard Iran as an occupied state. They see themselves as in bondage. They are held hostage by elements that are foreign to their culture. Okay. What had happened was that from the 1978-1979 Islamic Revolution that brought Shia Islam into government in Iran, the people of Iran have been under bondage. The government before this time, that was the government of the Shah, was that the government of the monarchy that they initially had was actually a government that allowed for secularism, free market government, and so on. Iran was prosperous. Iran was moving forward. Of course, the people wanted more, and they felt that there were some of the things that the Shah was doing was oppressing them. And so there were some leftist elements, communist, socialist groups that joined up with with Muslim groups, the Shia groups, and they took power from the monarchy. The moment the Shia got into government, the Islamic group got into government, they annihilated the socialists and the communists, and they took absolute power. In fact, when we talk about annihilation, they didn't just drive them out of the country. They ensured that many of them were killed, many of them were murdered. So that is what eventually led to what we have today. And of course, one has to give the Ayatollah government some credit, and I think probably the people we should give this credit to are to the Iranian people themselves, because they have actually been able to build a country. But unfortunately, rather than focus or put resources to bettering the lot of the people, they decided to put resources to terrorist government and terrorist activities, sponsoring proxy networks all around the Middle East. So they have been the ones sponsoring Hamas, sponsoring Hezbollah. Hamas is situated in Gaza, who have been terrorizing the Israelites. They've been sponsoring the Hezbollah terrorists. They are stationed in Lebanon. They've also been sponsoring the terrorists in Yemen, the Houthis, and so on. And then there's suspicion that they have been behind the sponsoring of ISWAP, even in Nigeria. So that ultimately what these people are calling for, are hoping for, is that the whole country or the whole world will be taken over by an Islamic rule. Now, America and Israel probably would have just sat back and said nothing until, it became obvious to them that America, being a leading Christian nation in the world, became the target of Iran. Iran would say that they want to destroy America, and then the Jews, that's Israel, they said they have to destroy Israel. Now, it's actually been like a statement of faith for many Muslim countries not to want to call her beat or to live in peace with Israel. But they have learned through thick and thin and through Israel dealing deadly blows on them that they have no choice but to have Israel in the Middle East. But Iran has refused that. Okay, so Iran has it as their own statement to destroy Israel and also to destroy America. Now, there will probably have been no need for this war until and except if October 7th had not happened. On October 7th, Hamas terrorists invaded the southern parts of Israel and killed no less than 1,200 people, Israelis. That was the worst attack on Israel, on Jews, since the Holocaust. 1,200 of them were slaughtered. And Israel at that point said, no more. It's not going to happen. And so they began to wage war against the terrorists all around them. They moved into Gaza. Unfortunately, they had to level so much of Gaza, and it has led to the unfortunate death of innocent people. They've also attacked Yemen. I mean, not Yemen, Lebanon, the southern parts of Lebanon, and so on. They then turned their attention to Iran in the 12-day war last year, but they had to bring that war to a quick end because America came to a deal with the Iranian government. Now, something began to happen in Iran. Inflation began to go over the roof in Iran, and the government could not stabilize their current currency. 1.4 million of their currency was exchanging for $1. The whole thing was upside down. It led to protests in December 2025, and some of those protests now overspilled into January. By January, in fact, the people had had enough. They said they were not going to have this government rule them. Unfortunately, what they do not realize, these people who are protesting peacefully, what they do not realize is that they are dealing with terrorists. So they got gunmen came in from Iraq, Shia people who believe in Shia theology like themselves, and they came and they mowed down people so that hundreds of people, not hundreds, tens of thousands. In fact, it is estimated that no less than 40,000 people were killed in that crackdown. And that is what led to it. And I remember then that Donald Trump told the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he told him two things. In the 12-day war, he told him, the first one, he said that we know where you are and we can take you out, but we have decided to spare your life. That was the first thing he told him last year, July. Then in January, he told him, he said, do not kill protesters. But they went on and they killed no less than 40,000. In fact, it was said that in a 2-day period, 30,000 young people were killed. Some of us sat in our houses and were screaming, what is happening? What is happening? Nobody talked at that time. These same dumb CNN people said nothing. The leftists, all of them, especially these people on social media who are condemning Israel, none of them said anything at that time. They were mowing down and killing all of these young people. And then on the 28th of January, America moved in and destroyed the seat of power of Iran, which led to the death of Ali Khamenei, and we are where we are today. That's what has led to the war. Iran has continued to send missiles all. In fact, one would have thought that they will concentrate the missiles on Israel. Rather, they began to target their whole neighbors. So right now, even Saudi Arabia is considering entering this war. Now, why is this thing very, very important to us? It is important to us because Nigeria is also in the grip of radical Islamic elements. We have Boko Haram, and not just Boko Haram, we have ISWAP. They are breathing down our necks. Just a few weeks ago, there was a bomb blast in front of University of Maiduguri that led to the death of hundreds of people. Now, if we're not concerned about such things, we can't be concerned about anything. These things are very, very important. Islamic insurgency has reached our doorstep. Okay. So that's that. My name is Deji Yesufu. This is Text and Publishing Religion. I thought that I would open the discussion today with a commentary on the war that Israel is having, on Iran. Okay. Also, we're going to have if what's her name now? Ada, if you're watching, please try to log in so that we can have you on. We're going to have a guest who is going to come and talk to us about a very, very important subject. She wrote an article and it was published on the Daily Times. Let me try to find that article and share it with us pending when she returns. But I think there's a comment here. Let me see if I can take it. Yes, I want to thank Brother, our Egbon here. Thank you, Dr. Adetola. Thank you. So, Ada wrote an article on the issue of state of residence as against state of birth, and I felt it was so powerful. I wanted to invite her. She's joining us from Enugu, so I'm going to try to share the article. Apparently, when she joins, I will just try to read part of the article to us. So just give me a moment to share the article with you. Okay, so the article was published on the blog called the Daily Times. I will try to attach a link to it. It's written by Ada Chiku Onwodiwe. I'm hoping that she joins very soon. When she joins, I'm going to introduce her properly. But this is what the article is titled, Elevating State of Residence over State of Origin in Nigeria. Ada Chiku writes, I'm from Imo State, but I live in Enugu. I work here and pay my taxes here. My children will go to school here. Enugu is where I build my dreams, contribute to the economy, and participate in the daily life of my community. Yet in the eyes of Nigeria's legal and administrative system, I remain primarily a citizen of Imo State, my state of origin. If I seek certain government jobs, apply for state-sponsored scholarships, or even aspire to political office in Enugu, I can be told I am not an indigene. I am in effect a permanent guest in the place I call my home. So basically what Ada is going to be arguing in this article is that there's such a thing as the challenge of state of origin as against state of residence. Ada, I'm still waiting for you to join us, so I hope you can join very soon. So she's comparing the two, and she's arguing that from a particular age, Nigerians should be allowed to, kind of be allowed something called a state of residence, not necessarily state of origin, but state of residence. And because if you have stayed in a place for a particular length of time, then you should be allowed to do certain things, even run for public office, for political office. And I think I bought into the idea because I come from the state of Osun State, but I'm not sure how many times I've been to Osun in my lifetime. I live all my life here in the city of Ibadan. I do everything. I pay my taxes here. So I do not see why I also cannot run for office here. Why I can't run for local government office or so on. Why I have to now go to Elisha to go and do that. Okay, so that's what Ada is arguing here. So Ada, please join up so that we can ask you questions about your article. This is the reality for millions of Nigerians. Our current framework gives overwhelming weight to state of origin, a fixed label assigned at birth tied to ancestral ethnicity, while state of residence, where we actually live, work, and contribute, remains secondary. I believe this is a fundamental flaw in how we structure belonging. If we are serious about reducing ethnic bias, strengthening accountability, and building a true national identity, we must elevate state of residence from the age of 18. This is not about erasing heritage. It is about recognizing that in modern federation, citizenship should be based on where you live, contribute, and choose to build your future. State of origin was designed to ensure federal character, to prevent any region or ethnic group from dominating national institutions. But over time, it has become a tool of exclusion. In many states, government employment, admissions to tertiary institutions, and even political appointments are reserved for, in quote, indigents, locking out long term residents. The indigent settler divide fuels communal tensions and makes it possible for governors to ignore residents who do not share their ethnic backgrounds and even discriminate against people from neighboring states within the same region. For someone like me, that is Ada, and me also, who has lived in Enugu for years, this is deeply unjust. I contribute to Enugu's economy through taxes and consumption. I vote in Enugu for federal election at least, and I'm invested in its roads, schools, and security. Yet, because my state of origin is Imo, I can be treated as an outsider. The message is clear. No matter how long you stay, you never truly belong. This undermines national unity and discourages the very integration we need. So, while still waiting for Ada, I hope Ada can join. Uh, Ada, if you can't join, please let me know so that I can send me a WhatsApp message. Now, while still looking at that, something happened. One of the biggest contributors to the political climate in Nigeria, I think she's here. Oh, she's not here. Okay. One of the biggest contributors to political climate in Oyo State has been a man called Edmund Obilo. Obilo came to Ibadan in 2007 for his NYSC. And after that, he became more or less an indigent of this state. And in fact, I remember there was an election, the election that removed Akala. I argued, I told somebody that there's a sense that Obilo single-handedly removed Akala from office because, he almost convinced many people from his radio broadcast that somebody was better than Akala. And Obilo has political prospects. He wants to run for office and all of that. But this same state of origin problem. Now, Obilo is from Imo State. He grew up in Benin City and he relocated to Oyo State in Ibadan. Why can't somebody like Obilo, who has been in this city since 2007, not run for office, for public office? And I remembered also that this issue of state of origin came back to bite Oyo State some times ago. The state government wanted to employ teachers, and at some point they realized that if they're going to limit employment to only indigents of Oyo State alone, they were not going to get the best teachers. So what they did was that they opened it up and they said anybody can apply from anywhere. And I have a friend, I remember that brother is from, I think maybe from Ondo State or Ogun State, and he got a job. Got a job here in Ibadan. So they had to remove that state of origin thing. But I also remember that I know one or two persons who have tried to get jobs at the Oyo State government, but it's still this same state of origin problem has been their problem. So Ada is here with us. Just give me a minute and then I'll add you up. I hope we can have you. Hello, Ada, can you hear me? You are muted.
Hello, yes, I can.
Okay, can we get video? All right, yes, so you're here. All right, so I've been reading your article for our viewers. So this is Ada Chiko Onwodiwe. Let me read her profile, her short profile. Ada, okay, no, before I read it, let me put her on the screen. Because she's not just brains, she's also beauty. So want to, Ada Chiko Onwodiwe is an Enugu-based creative producer and strategist specializing in the intersection of archival history and sectoral analytics. From supervising storytelling at Afrochives Studio as co-founder to leading analytics of research insights at Metrics and More Analytics, she uses both cultural storytelling and data to highlight the hidden narratives of the Nigerian and African experience. So, Ada, thank you very much for joining Text and Publishing Religion this evening.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So now, besides the profile that I've just read, I met Ada in 2018 in Enugu when I went to Enugu to go and promote my book, Victor Banjo, and she and her friends were so helpful in the 10-day period I was in Enugu. Again, I will say thank you very much for your help. Way back then, it's been almost 10 years now. I should go back to Enugu very happy.
Yes,
It's
please come back.
2026.
Yes, please come back.
Yes, so
A
I
lot
pray
has
God will
changed.
give me God will give me flight money. I came to Enugu in 2018. I also came back. I came for my office sent me. When was that? I think in 2020, 2022.
Yeah.
There was so much has changed. That time, this your own Boko Haram people were disturbing you people at that time. So yeah. All right. So Ada, thank you very much for coming. Can you just tell us what informed your article?
I wish I could say it's something. I mean, it's politics or something, but not really. It's one of those thoughts that's I call them flyaway thoughts. But then again, I would say when you pay attention to the Nigerian news fair, when you pay attention to social media, when you read the rhetorics, especially as elections are approaching, that there is just so much out there. And, sometimes when I'm alone at night and, once a single thought just comes to my head and I keep ruminating on it over and over. I started to think about this last month. In fact, I started writing it last month, but I didn't really. It was just a skeleton at the time. I had a lot of questions for myself. I had a lot of questions, for Nigerians, and it was just one of those questions that came up from just reading vast. So I can't point out one single thing and say, oh, this is what actually triggered it. But the whole go back to where you're from and all that. And I'm even from the East, where you think, okay, just about the politics, let's say, between the East and the West. But no, even here in the East, we still have those strands of rhetorics that crop up once in a while when something happens. So it was a question I was asking myself: if I am, I've lived in this Enugu for years now, and what stops me from wanting to become a governor of the state if I choose to, or that I feel like I'm capable of it? So it was just one of those flyaway thoughts, really.
Okay. I also thinking while I was reading the article, I actually thought that this is a sound idea for a bill in the National Assembly. Now, if you have not thought of it, perhaps my question should even lead you to think of it. Have you thought of approaching either your local, federal, or Senate person with this idea? It's very sound, very sound.
Oh, thank you so much for saying it, Sam. To be honest, no. Like I said, when I wrote this, I have a blog, a personal blog, where I just go to dump ideas, dump my thoughts, anything that comes to
Okay.
mind. So it was just something I dumped, but I don't write. I just don't dump. Ever, contents I put out. So this took me like over a month, let's say, yeah, 3 weeks plus to come up with.
Wow.
So, but now that you've mentioned it, and based on the reception, the acceptance it has received, it has gone to places that I never expected it to go to the day I started writing it. Well, and the feedback I've been getting has been very nice and great. And I'm happy that people also think it's a good idea and is a sound argument. So yes,
Yes.
I think I have a group of friends who I would say yes. If I push them to push it, they'll push it for me, because in this sort of
Yeah.
thing I can be quite. I just feel like I've done my part by writing, but yeah, I have friends that I know that if I push them,
Yes.
you know,
You should.
yeah,
You
they'll
should.
help me push it.
Yes, you should consider it. The name Nigeria came from a young woman who was the girlfriend to the man that was leading the British contingent against Nigeria in the late 19th century. I think something Shaw or something, Flora Shaw. She wrote an article and she just said, the country should be called the Niger area, Nigeria. You know, the idea that Pakistan, which is a Muslim country, should be separated from India was articulated first in an article in the early 20th century. Somebody just wrote the idea, and before you know it, they began to push it. I mean, and all the Muslims in India moved to Pakistan, and that separation was done. You know, even the whole issue of the nation of Israel started sometimes in the middle of the 19th century. Somebody wrote an article, you know, and the article became so well accepted. You know, so you shouldn't take it for granted at all. Although, you know, if an idea is blessed by God, you don't necessarily need to begin to take it from table to table, you know, and say people should consent. Somebody else can just pick their own idea. It doesn't matter. What
Yeah,
matters is that we all benefit from it. I
exactly.
come from Osun State, hometown only once, 2017 in what they call it, Elisha. That's the only time. Right now, I can't even think of politics or anything because I don't know the way to that place. Not because I don't know the way, but I mean, so far away,
Yeah,
you know. So, but if this idea can be pushed and the people can begin to claim something called a state of residence, then we can all come together and, you know, contribute to where we live. There are so many things one can do. It doesn't even mean that you have to run for public office. It could be other things
exactly,
that you,
exactly,
yes, that you
exactly.
can
It's
you can do.
yeah.
And it's, I
You
think it's
feel
also an American idea. Sorry, you were going to say
when you
something.
so when you feel like you're a part of something, a part of a
Yeah.
community, you give your all. It's not like you said. It's not about the politics part of it. It's about where
Mm.
you're willing to see things done right. You know, this is my
Yes.
place. And there's this place. There's this proverb we say in Igbo: "The ebonye bikona wachi." Where you live is where
Mm.
you take. Where you live is where you take care of. It's not ebonye
Yes.
si. Remember, when you say Ebonyi, it means where you were given birth to. But we say
Okay.
Ebonyi Bikona Wachi, which is where you live,
Mm.
is where you take care of. And I think
Yeah.
it's a proverb that applies to this state of residence thing for us. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I hope that somebody can pick the idea and run with it. You know, please, if you've not read the article, go to the Daily Times blog and probably just put Adachuku Onwodiwe into it, and you'll find it. The article is titled "Elevating State of Residence Over State of Origin in Nigeria."
Yeah.
Ada, what's the name of your blog where people can find this article?
Just Adachi dot
Okay.
blogspot. Yeah.
All right, just adachi.blogspot. One other thing, apart from your own experience, do you know of any other persons or experiences that have had people have had with this state of origin, state of residence thing?
Of course, of course. I mean, even my own mother. I remember my mom. My mom was a teacher in Anambra State in the 80s, 90s, and they started the whole state of origin thing. She was working in the state school, and they
Mm.
did the whole when Anambra did their state of origin stuff. They removed teachers who were not from Anambra, and that's how she lost her
Oh,
job from the state. Yeah, so
oh,
it's actually a lived experience for me. At the time, I didn't really get the whole politics, of it. But as I grew up and began to see more people complain about this, even when you're married to a state, you're married from
yeah.
outside your state, to another state, it still becomes a problem. You can't,
Mm.
so these things become issues. And I also remember a few years ago, someone was telling me, I think that was during Enugu Buruburu's time in Enugu. They were
Mm.
planning to do sort of like to honor people who have contributed over time to the states. And I
Yeah.
saw the list, and I saw the list, and I was like, what's this? I mean, I don't even recognize anyone here, apart from not being able
Mm.
to recognize the people that I know that are actually doing things, that are actually contributing to this state are
They were
missing.
not there.
That's
Mm.
when I realized they were not indigenous of Enugu, and that's why they were not on that
Okay.
list. And it was unfair.
Yeah.
Was yeah, I consider it very unfair to
Mm.
the individuals. So yes, it comes up in
Yeah.
different ways. And yeah, even as little as SUG in school, it plays a role.
Wow.
So it's something that we need to really
But
tackle. And I've said
in
this.
Oyo State, when something like Osun State was carved out, teachers were
Yeah.
not let go. They permitted many of them to retire. My aunt is from, I mean, my father's elder sister was a teacher,
Mm,
and she retired in Ibadan as a teacher, even though she was from Osun State. So I do not know why people are so draconian about that issue. You know,
exactly.
I,
It's
it came up in recently. They were going to employ teachers. They wanted to limit it to only state of origin people. But when they realized they were not getting the best teachers, they had to open it up. So people from everywhere applied, and the competition was, and they got the best teachers. So that is that. Ada, can you tell us more about what you do? I saw in your profile there, there's this thing about um, Afrochive studio, storytelling. Do you still do your storytelling, those videos, I mean, that you published one time?
yes, yes. So I am I think team lead and also head of stories at Africa Studio. So we produce media and content that captures the narrative of the black. We call it the black experience because we don't want to limit it to the African. So anyone
Okay.
anywhere who watches our content gets to have a sense of belonging, gets to um, feel something, have that sense of this is something I can relate to, the relatability to it. So my work there is I write, so that's honestly I write. So I write stories, I also supervise stories, I edit stories, and you can find our content on YouTube, Africa Studio, and also on Afro Touch TV on YouTube. We have a website,
Okay.
Africa do where you can check out what we do. So yeah, that's basically I write, I curate, I write, I curate, and right now I have also
And you still work for yourself?
yeah. So this is work, yeah, because yeah, because we also have people who pay us to do these things. If
Okay.
you because it's media and content, we do
Yes.
a lot of things for film, short films, feature length film, documentaries. So some apart from our own originals, people usually reach out to us to say, "Hey, I have this story. I would like you to cover, or I like you to, shoot this for me and send." So yeah, we do those sort of works. Then apart from that, we have the metrics and analytics, which is a company that I am a part of. And
Okay.
how would I put it? Yeah, so it's a data and research company. It's a startup. It's really new. It's really new. But for
Okay.
now, I am project lead of the research insights, still on storytelling. I love telling stories. I love to capture. And when people hear stories, they think fiction. Not really. I write poetry, fiction, non-fiction. I just love words, and I one of the things I'm good at is designing narrative that captures people's attention. That
Mm.
engages people in one way or the other. So it doesn't matter whether it's fiction or non-fiction or whether I'm analyzing data, because the whole point is how do I put this in a way that people read it, they get the gist of it, and they
Yeah.
understand and engage with it. So that's basically my
Well
work.
done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Ada. Just a last one. If people want to reach you, how can they reach you easiest? Just give us, and then we're done.
Okay, easiest is email
Okay.
oadachuku@gmail.com. That's oada
Please, can you take that again?
oadachukwu@gmail.com. That's oadachuku@gmail.com. O
All right. So
adachuku.
please, so reach out to my friend. She's a brilliant lady, and I appreciate the fact that I sent you just one WhatsApp message, and you're here. Thank you very much. Extend my greetings to your family, and God
Sure.
bless you. Yeah,
Thank you
I'll
very
call you later.
much.
Let me conclude
All
this
right.
work.
Thank you, and thanks
Bye.
everyone that's
Yeah.
watching. Bye.
All right. So that was Ada. There's something else that's very interesting that I want to share with us before we are done. And I won't tell us what it is. So just stay a moment while I try to look for it. I'm still kind of new to this whole setup, so I'm learning to work with it. Man,
It is the 16th of January 1966, the morning after the bloodiest night in Nigeria's short history as an independent nation. The Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, has been abducted and is missing. The Premier of the North, Sir Hamadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, has been shot dead in his bedroom in Kaduna. The Premier of the West, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, has also been killed. A group of young army majors had attempted to seize power in Nigeria in the early hours of the morning. The country was now in a state of shock, confusion, and existential fear, as one man who had not planned the killings, had not sanctioned them, and had in fact risked his life that very night to stop them, stepped into the vacuum. He was the most senior military officer in the Nigerian army. By the iron conventions of military hierarchy, the responsibility of holding a broken nation together had fallen without warning or preparation entirely upon his shoulders. This man is a soldier's soldier, forged in the barracks of colonial Nigeria, hardened on the battlefields of the Congo, thrust onto the most dangerous political stage in Nigerian history, and destined to govern for 194 days before the country he gave everything to serve consumed him. This is the story of Major General Johnson Agui Ironsi.
These documentaries by TextandPublishing.com are aimed at telling the Nigerian story to an audience that will be better informed about our past and help make our nation great in the future. Share and like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and kindly leave a comment for us in the comment section. Ensure you conclude watching the video. Thank you very much for watching.
The man known to Nigerian history as Major General Johnson Thomas Umunnakwe Agui Ironsi was born on the 3rd of March 1920. His father was a man of the soil known simply as Mazi Agui Ironsi, who was a farmer.
Okay, so what you have just watched is what we have just released on Text and Publishing History. So about sometimes in November last year, we began to publish on Text and Publishing History. We have a new channel where we publish on historical figures. And our latest publication is on Johnson JTU, Johnson Agui Ironsi. That's the first military head of state of Nigeria. So I want to request that if you have not watched it, please just go to YouTube, put in Text and Publishing together, and then you will see the video there. Please watch it, try and conclude watching it, and share it with those people you feel might find it interesting. It's still in the same context that we have decided also to rename Reformed Naija Television Text and Publishing, but this time around religion, because we're going to be centering our discussions, on this channel on just religious issues, religious debates, and so on. Hopefully in the days to come, we're going to have Text and Publishing Contemporary. I wanted to discuss about the issues. Recently, some people took up the question of my teaching, Universalism. I wanted to bring it up, but it's going to be impossible to do so. I think we have gone a long time enough. We've done about 50 minutes, and that's enough. My name is Deji Yesufu. I pastor Providence Reformed Baptist Church. We are situated at the University of Ibadan. If you want to get to know more about what we do at the church or what we do at Text and Publishing, generally, please send me an email at nigeriareformed@gmail.com. I thank you very much for watching. If you're just joining the broadcast, please, when the broadcast ends, watch it again, share it, and subscribe to our channel. We're hoping that every 6 p.m. on Sundays, we can bring out something on religion that will be relevant to the public. And I hope you have enjoyed today's broadcast. Thank you very much and have a good night rest. Also, have a pleasant week ahead of you.